Welcome to the Raider Sports Report. I am your host, Ben Diggle, and with me this week is no one. I fired them all. I'm on my own power trip. I'm running this show now. Just kidding. Through a variety of family emergencies and prior conflicts, things like that, coaches couldn't make it, so we filmed it by video this week. So I will be your host, taking you through the highlights and some of their interviews that we filmed previously, and the coaches will hopefully join us after the first of the year and recap their successes over the holiday season. So do have some successes to talk about this week. A very successful week for our wrestling team, a successful week for our girls basketball team, and an off week for the boys basketball team. But first, let's start with the girls basketball team, which lost at Canton on Tuesday night and then went to Limestone on Saturday for an afternoon game and came away with a 47-41 victory. We'll have some words from Jay Bowman, the head coach, and then some highlights from the game. All right, we are chatting with East Peoria Community High School girls basketball coach Jay Bowman. Coach, first let's talk about last week. Went into Limestone and got a nice win there on Saturday.
Yeah, it was a good game. Came out real sluggish, down 15-8 after the first quarter. Me and Coach Vershaw talked real quick at the end of the first quarter and decided we have to make some major adjustments. So between quarters, switched to a man defense and switched to a new zone offense that we just learned the day before in practice, and the girls did a good job, and they made the adjustments, and from there on out we really played well and kind of took control of the rest of that game.
All right, folks, well, here you go. This game was tied at 22 at halftime, and the Lady Raiders, as Coach Bowman said, rallying from a 15-8 deficit after the first quarter to tie it. Came out pretty hot there in the second half. Freed Sarah Kurth on a nice set play there for the three-pointer. And then nice rebound here by Courtney Potendijk. Lady Raiders had a lot of contributions here in the second half. Michaela Reedy with a couple of nice baskets, including a nice putback. Kylie Gablehausen, who we'll see here in a second, with a nice block. It was a really nice all-around effort win for the Raiders this weekend. Here you see Courtney Potendijk to line for a couple of her points. I think she had 7, I believe. Kylie Gablehausen ended up leading with 10 points, 9 rebounds, 5 blocks, and 5 assists, if I remember correctly. There you see Michaela Reedy taking one in the basket there. A nice driving shot. Got the roll. Here you see Michaela at the line hitting some free throws. She's a first-year transfer from Notre Dame, has been a very big addition to this lineup, has really given us some versatility. Going to the fourth, this game was 35-31, and the girls didn't let the pressure phase them at all, or the home crowd. They kept right with it. Key rebound here by Sierra Montgomery. She's going to hit a big jumper here in a second, right here to be exact. Big jumper by Sierra there to put them up. And you'll also notice a stout defensive effort here by the Raiders. Did a lot to push Limestone out to kind of uncomfortable shooting range. And did a really nice job once they did that of falling back and hitting the boards. Here's another wide three from the corner. Difficult shots all around. Nice play by Allie Watson here to get to the hoop. And then an even better putback by Michaela Reedy. And then we're going to finish this off here with some free throws by Kylie Gablehausen and co. Big block there by Kylie. She actually had another one on the ensuing play after that, and I just didn't get it in time. Nice look ahead there by Kylie to Courtney Potendijk to get a bucket down. And this game did get as tight as 2 points, but the Raiders hit their free throws and put it away. You'll see Kylie Gablehausen get a couple here to make it 45-41, and then here in just a minute we'll see Allie Watson finish it off with 2 free throws of her own to set the final at 47-41. Kylie Gablehausen has really turned into a solid all-around performer. As I had said with her stat line, 10 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 blocks. That's something you don't see every day in a lot of high school players. But it was really, as I said earlier, a team effort. All 8 players played, and all 8 players, or 8 players played, and all 8 scored. So you can't ask for much more than that as a head coach. Another nice rebound by Courtney Potendijk. She's really starting to come into her own as a rebounder and as a force in the post. Here you see Allie Watson going to the hoop. Just misses the three-point play there, but Allie's going to knock down these 2 free throws and set our final at 47-41. Always nice as a coach when you can pull the kids off the line and just let it happen. No pressure or anything. 4 seconds left. Pretty much don't foul. And now we'll have a word from Coach Bowman again after this 47-41 win, previewing the week ahead.
And really all we did at halftime is say, hey, we're going to just keep doing what we did in that second quarter. We're going to stay in man. We're going to try to front posts, play active hands, put a little more ball pressure on them. And so we just continue what we were doing. We ran a few sets in the second half. We got Kurth open for a 3. We called a set to get her open, and we executed it well, and she hit it.
That was pretty early in the second half to give you guys a cushion there.
Yep, and then Limestone had trouble scoring, and even when they did get good looks, they were down. It was taking large chunks of time off the clock. They were taking a long time to try to find that shot, and then not always even hitting that shot.
Waiting to go and see.
And I think they were trying to pick up the tempo when they were down and play with a little urgency. And I think we had one bad turnover against the press where we tried to rush. Other than that, we got a couple of good looks, and when we didn't have the good look, we pulled it out and ran some clock. And so they played well down the stretch. We scouted Dunlap, and they'll zone. They got a little size, so they really try to hit the offensive boards, and so that's something that we've been focusing on all year, is becoming a better rebounding team. And so that's, I think, the key to that game is to they're a good rebounding team. I don't know if we're going to control the boards, but we can't let them control it. It's going to have to be a wash, neutral. And I feel if we can neutralize that edge on them, then we'll be in pretty good shape.
Coach, next week, the holiday season starts, and that always brings with the Christmas tournaments. You're headed back to Manual for another year. Talk a little bit about your draw down there at
that
Hoops
tough
Power.
Draw. It's pool play. So all we know is when we play the first day, which is the 27th, we play East St. Louis at 9:30.
Which is no easy draw.
No, they're always athletic with size. It seems like we play them every year, and we've played them tough. One year we only lost to them by 4, and I know what to expect. Get up and down the court, in your face, man. It's just whether or not we let that pressure rattle us. And then at 4:30 on the 27th. We play Lincoln, who we played last year in this tournament and beat. So I'm familiar with them. I know what they do, but we're a lot better than we were last year at this point. So I fully expect them to be a lot better too. So since we beat them last year doesn't mean anything. They zone a little bit. They hit the rebounds from last year. They hit the offensive glass for putbacks. So we just got to control the glass with them. After that, the 28th and 29th, don't know when we play. It all depends on how that 27th day turns out.
And we're back. Nice look at the girls' basketball win there. They will host Dunlap this Friday, a game you can see right here on Eastside Community Television, Channel 22. Next up, we'll look at the wrestling team. The wrestling team started off the week kind of rough, split a dual meet against Washington and Morton, beat Morton 52-16. Lost to Washington 46-18. However, on Saturday they went up to the Metamora Holiday Tournament and won first place very narrowly, 178.5 to 177 over Byron. 3 individual champions at that meet. Casey McQuarter at 126 pounds. Drew Foster at 152 pounds with a 42-second pin, no less. And finally, we had Lucas Joseph improving his record to 15-0 and taking home Most Valuable Wrestler honors in the 220-pound weight class. So we will now look at the highlights from our meet on Thursday against Washington here at Allison Gymnasium.
They came out with a huge crowd, a very impressive crowd actually. Got to wrestle on a new wrestle meet, so the kids were really fired up. They came out with that enthusiasm of winning, which they did decisively against Morton. They came out, they got their pins when they needed to, they were explosive, and they were right on target with their technique. I was very, very pleased with how they wrestled.
See the boys coming out. New wrestling mats, as Coach Johns alluded to. Big crowd on hand at Allison Gym for this one. Really pleased with the turnout. just a great atmosphere that you don't often see at one of the lesser observed sports like wrestling. Just great to see all the kids turn out, the community. This place was rocking on Thursday night, and I highly recommend if you get a chance to come out again this year, do so. First up here is Drew Foster, who did win that tournament title. Drew didn't waste any time taking this young man down either. Nice headlock into a hip toss, and he's going to walk this thing around and end up with a pin, I think, in about a minute 6, if I remember right, maybe a little longer than that, minute 20. But does a really nice job of walking this around and just keep torquing the head until it goes. And there you see he's going to get the pin right there. Here you see Tony Hall at 160 pounds. Tony almost had the pin here in a cradle, but the young man, as you can see, there was working the left leg to kind of use his momentum to turn himself over and ends up getting out of it. Tony did go on to win, though. Here we see Clarence Gomez. Clarence is going to get a last-second takedown right here to win in overtime. Sudden death, and he wins on the first takedown, and you can see he was pretty gassed. And here's the aforementioned Lucas Joseph. Lucas, currently 15-0, ranked number 1 in the 220-pound weight class in Class 2A in the state of Illinois, and as we discovered last week, number 17 in the country. This young man was a little overmatched, but Lucas took some time to work on some of the stuff he felt he needed to work on, takedowns and whatnot, and I think he was up 10-0 when he finally got the young man in position to be pinned, and he did just that and earned the victory. This is Casey McWhorter. Casey went on to win the 126-pound title at the Metamora Holiday Tournament, and he almost picked up an early pin here with kind of an unconventional, I called it a body slam / cradle, and Casey had some convoluted name for it. I can't remember what, but Casey will get the win right here. Does a nice job of stepping that leg over to keep the pressure on the cradle, but then he kind of lost it. But will eventually win this match as well on points, I believe. And the scary part about Casey is he is just coming off an injury, so to wrestle this well while still not in top shape, that tells you a lot about the young man. Terrific kid and pleasure to be with.
Washington, they are a tough team. I'm not going to take anything away. The type of wrestlers they have wrestle year-round. They also train at other facilities. They're from different places other than Washington, so they've had some experience with other coaches also as well. Our kids came out. They did wrestle with a lot of heart. They were in front of, like I said, a huge crowd, so maybe a little bit of nerves might have came into play and a lot of pressure with who they were going to be wrestling. I already had told them I expected them to wrestle their best, and that's all I expected. Win or lose, I wanted them to go out in good fashion. And there's a few matches that turn the corner for the mat, the whole meet itself. Some tournament events, 106, Phoenix was winning. They got caught and pinned. I think that kind of turned the momentum a little bit. We had also a disqualification, which would have been because of a mouthpiece, not having a mouthpiece at 170. So those type of little things kind of hurt us. I'm going to cinch them up and have them ready by conference. Okay. So I think a lot of things will change.
Now here are the highlights from Washington. Unfortunately, not as many highlights from this match. Kids came out really jacked up, and at one point this thing was tied at 18 all after Cade McDonald's pin here at 185. But things just didn't work out for the Raiders. After this, we had a couple of unfortunate incidents. Phoenix Stewart was, and just as a side note, look at the crowd there at Allison Gym, really fired up. Here you see Phoenix Stewart, one of our freshmen. Phoenix was actually ahead here, and he's going to get caught up in a little pin, but very athletic moves here by the young man. Nice takedown there. Phoenix looked pretty good for a youngster at 112 pounds. Here you see Tony Hall again at 160 pounds, trying to work his way out of a couple, this is Casey McWhorter, pardon me. Casey wrestling a tough match. I do owe an apology to Justin Doty. Justin actually had a pin at 185 maybe in the earlier, right before Cade McDonald in that match, and I thought I was taping it, and I did not. I'd actually hit the button wrong. So my apologies to Justin Doty for not getting your pin against Washington on tape.
He's coming back after injury. He has. It's taken a little time. He's got a little rust we need to knock off. It's going to take a little time, but after he wrestles a few matches, I think he'll be fine again, and I think he'll get his technique back to the way it was before he was injured. Drew Foster looks superb. He beat a kid that was undefeated. The kid just won a big tournament somewhere. I'm not quite sure.
And in 42 seconds, no less.
Yeah,
I mean,
42 seconds in the final, which was very major. Matter of fact, he won by a point and a half. Probably without that pin, point-wise, I don't think he would have won.
Right.
That might have been some bonuses there. So anyway, that was a key win for us. And then at heavy 220, Lucas, he did what he had to do. He listened to me, of course. He had a tech fall. The opponent wasn't near his caliber, but the guy was a game opponent. Lucas listened to me and performed the techniques that he needed to, like we had talked about.
And we're back. There you have the highlights from the week in wrestling. And lastly, we have the boys basketball team, which has been off. This is its second week off. They will return to action Friday night when they travel to Dunlap for a Mid-Illini Conference game. Once again, the buses are like two ships passing in the night. I don't know why we can't do boy-girl double headers in the Mid-Illini, but it would sure seem better than splitting the crowd. But that's another soapbox for another time. In the meantime, let's join Matt Wright as he looks to the week ahead at Dunlap, and then the boys' trip to Carbondale for the Carbondale Holiday Tournament at Southern Illinois University starting next week after Christmas.
Coach, right in the midst of about a 10-day layoff here, what have the boys been working on, and what have they been getting better at?
We really used the time for a myriad of different things, addressing different issues. We talked about, or we really worked on a lot of fundamental skills, playing out of a jump stop, good footwork into our shots, making the extra pass, moving the basketball. So we really emphasized a lot of that stuff. Then in addition to that, we kind of worked on playing a little bit of man, increasing our ball pressure and our wing denial, so we can kind of throw that in, keep teams off balance a little bit, and it won't murder us. Where earlier in the year, when we did try to do that, we just weren't very effective at it. So kind of have another tool defensively there to throw at people, and then offensively we put in a few sets, quick hitters. That way if we get in a slump during a game or something like that, then we can go to one of those sets and see if we can get a quick, easy bucket, or at least a great look periodically throughout the game, coming out of timeouts or quarters and things like that.
Okay. Now this Friday you travel to Dunlap for another Mid-Illini Conference game. Last time out, really encouraging result against Canton.
Yeah.
What do you anticipate coming this time out?
They've obviously got some talent on that team. They've got Sorensen is obviously who we have to key on the most. 6'7", can play inside, can play outside. He's a pretty active player. Saw in his last game that he struggled a little bit with some foul trouble early. But if he stays out of foul trouble and stays involved in that game, I've seen him on a couple of films really put up some pretty impressive nights. So we've got to make sure that we've got him accounted for all the time. Other than that, it's really going to be about us executing what it is that we've been trying to put in and working through some of the kinks and trying to see. We obviously see how we're going to defend it in practice, but we got to see how other teams are going to defend it and what it's going to look like when we run some of this stuff. So we'll come out and try to keep them off balance, switching in and out of things a little bit. Obviously try some of the new offensive stuff that we've done, but really tagging Sorensen is going to be the biggest thing for us come Friday night.
And finally, you go to Carbondale for the holiday tournament next week, which has become I think the last 3 or 4 years we've gone down there.
Yeah.
What first off, tell us a little about the opponents you'll be facing. You draw the host team, Carbondale, in the opening round. What are you kind of anticipating to get out of that trip?
For me, what I think we're going to see there is that we're just going to spend massive amounts of time together. Some of it playing basketball, but probably just as much of it not playing basketball. So it'll be a little bit of a team building experience for us. We'll spend just so much time together. It's going to be hard to not come out of it a little bit closer. Obviously, we see Carbondale that first night, and then win or lose, we're looking at, I think, Manassas and Hazelwood West So we'll play that 27th at 7:30. Turn around and scout that game after. In addition to trying to find some film on those teams before we get down there. But really, for me, it's going to be about the team building aspect of it. And we're going to go down there and just compete. You know, one of the things that I've mentioned periodically throughout these past few weeks is the effort that we need to have in order to succeed. I was displeased with it at Metamora, turned around the next night, really had great effort against Canton, and that's just something we got to keep building on every night is just playing as hard as we can every single time that we hit the floor and letting the chips fall where they may.
All right, Coach. Well, best of luck to you, and we'll see you after the new year.
Thank you very much.
And that wraps up the week in Raider Athletics, folks. We will return after Christmas break to bring you all the highlights from the holiday tournaments. As I said previously, the boys going to the Carbondale Holiday Tournament. The girls will be here in town at the Manual Holiday Tournament. If you get a chance on the 27th, 28th, and 29th, stop down at Manual High School and check them out. You can check your local newspaper for the times and what gym they will be in. And the boys wrestling team will only wrestle once over break. They will go up to LaSalle, Peru, I believe, for a 5-team round robin on the 27th. But we will see you after the new year and bring you all the reports of how our Raider teams did. So from the crew here at ESC TV, we're wishing you a happy holidays and enjoy it with your families. Go Raiders!